right, folks, it's another Friday here. Welcome, one and all. This is the last edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Today on the program, INEC meets with stakeholders, warns against violence, vote buying, as the police deployed 32,000 personnel for Bayelsa and Kogi Governorship elections. Court orders INEC to restore SDP's candidate for Kogi Governorship polls. And later on, we'll share this with you. EFCC Chairman Magu bags African Union Anti-Corruption Crusader Award. Let's report that Jide Kolade Otitoju is here. They removed Jide, it's not deliberate. No, mind them. Not your name no go change even after marriage. But we also have Mobolaji or manager here. I greet you, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, so the team is ready. I hope you are. You know, it's crunch time for the INEC with the governorship elections in Kogi and Bayelsa State holding on same day, November 16. The intense build-up in the two states tell me so. A disquieted INEC has met with stakeholders ahead of the exercise. INEC boss Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, along with Police Chief Adamu Mohammed, yesterday assured of the readiness of the INEC and that of the police to lead. The police is the lead agency for election security in our country. Some 32,000 police personnel are to be deployed for the exercise in the two states. Vote buying and violence remain the twin evil bedeviling the electoral process in our country. Jide, we still are going round and round in circles.
I'm extremely worried about the extent to which we are going when it comes to vote buying. Honestly, this thing came as something like a lot of us saw it as a fleeting phenomenon. But it has come to stay. It has come to stay because we didn't take it seriously at the time. When the Dibo Funwako Sebe began in Ondo State.
In other words, vote and cook
Vote
soup.
for us
And cook your soup.
and cook soup. Meaning that the money we give you will be sufficient for you to cook soup, plenty of meat, oríṣiríṣi and all that. So we didn't take it seriously. And the truth is, politicians now vote a huge sum of money on for vote buying. Politicians who have done badly, who know that the people are not likely to vote for them, buy the conscience of our people on election day. The people are so impoverished that it is extremely difficult for them to snub attempts to bribe them on election day. Because what people say is, look, by the time they get there, they are not going to serve us.
Yeah.
They will serve their pockets. They will serve their own people.
And
So let's collect our own national cake at this point.
But is that not foolery, tomfoolery?
No, it's
the highest level?
a demonstration of stupidity to take money from people who have chosen not to serve you, rather than exercise your power to send them packing. This is where we are now. INEC flirted with the idea of redesigning the polling area so that voters will not be in position to simply raise up their ballot papers for those who want to buy their votes to see. But I don't know why INEC has not been able to do that. Is it simply a question of funds, or do they want to do that after this round of elections?
No, Jide, but if INEC, as you admit, is operating in this environment, how much of the blame don't you think should go to the other side, the actors themselves?
No,
you're talking about the referee.
No, we can blame them. We can spend eternity blaming them. But the point is, INEC
means
blaming the
politicians. Okay.
The politicians, because they've taken vote buying to a new level. They now like the night before the election, they go into people's homes, extracting oaths from them and giving them money. They make our people to drink concoctions.
Yeah.
You know, swearing that they will vote for them. But the point that I'm making is that INEC has a responsibility to make it more difficult for them to succeed. Because on election day, we see people hanging around, their agents hang around, they want you to show them that indeed you voted for them. So once they can see the evidence that you indeed voted for them, as you walk away, they then give you your money.
Let me give you a brother. Mobolaji, but again, I'm sorry. Omonija is safe for me. You know, at this point, it is a lot less, for me, a lot less about the INEC, but more about the Nigerian.
No, absolutely. The political actors and the Nigerian people. Absolutely. Now, INEC has some role to play. INEC must always up its game. INEC must always respond to the things you see. But you can hardly defeat them unless that orientation changes. If you decide to redesign the voting area, they will also sit down because they're always looking for loopholes. They're always, we use more of our time. Those in government use 90% of their times doing things that will subvert the system rather than develop the country. And that is the problem. So the political actors know that they can always get away with it. And they are desperate because that is the easiest route to cash, the easiest route to wealth, illicit wealth.
Yeah.
No?
But
so,
the laws, the statutes allow these things because politics in our country, Jide, Omonija, by design has become full-time business.
Well, to some extent, you are right. But from time, it's not just about the law. I think the law is there. But the law is always there. The law has always frowned at it. But to a very large extent, we just look for what we can do. Even things that are very clear in the law, we'll go to court and try to upturn it.
Yeah, yeah.
Even things that are very clear, even things that you see operating in other countries, that don't, because it is clear, everybody decides to obey the law. No, our people will try and say, we'll get into government first, and then you go to the court.
You'll be litigating.
You'll be litigating there.
We are in business.
We're in control of the budget.
Yeah.
We're in control of the funds. It's a problem. That mindset, it's a major problem of orientation. How do we change the orientation? How do we make Nigerian voters also know that they are the king?
Yes, that they should exercise that
power.
They
should exercise that power, both at the voting point and after. Don't rest. Don't just leave them. Continually, the civil society also has become cash and carry, and that the people should be leading the people.
They do not challenge.
No, they don't. Anymore. You don't simply go to sleep after election. You also challenge the government and say, look, you promised A, B, C, D. So far, we have not even seen you attempt A. And it's 1-2 years after.
Yeah,
these are the things we should be doing.
Jide, before we go to Kogi and Bayelsa, the late Russian dictator Joseph Stalin said, the voters will do their job, but they don't hold any A's. But it is those who count. So it goes back to INEC. At the point of collation and delivering result, is the INEC hampered in any way?
INEC is not hampered. But you see, the business of rigging involves INEC, involves security agencies, involves even people who ought to be your agents. Collation agents are the most crucial because it's at the level of collation that a lot of rigging takes place. You then find even ballot papers that ought not to be part of
the process.
That process.
Yeah. Finding
it will have been imported into that voting area, and then it will even be counted for some individuals. You see some ballots that, naturally should be declared as void, counted for particular individuals, because once the conscience of your own polling collation agent has been bought, it will work for the opponent. And then once he signs on that form, your fate is sealed.
Stalin was right.
Your fate is sealed, yes. Because no, it's all about the counting and then the announcement.
That's it.
So collation is key. Whatever happens, and you know the thing is, I once said on this program that the law was not designed in such a way that collation agents at local government level, you know, they results at ward level and polling and at ward level and local government level can easily be changed at the point of collation. What I mean is that the result from polling centers, the various polling centers,
collation center,
can easily be changed, because once someone has that form, he has the original that form. All the results from the polling centers,
whatever comes in,
yes, whatever comes in can be changed, and there is no allowance, no provision made for polling officials or polling agents to verify their signature.
Okay.
Nobody will even invite them. This is how elections get rigged in Nigeria at the level of collation.
Before we pass over quickly, we are talking about Nigeria playing the catch-up game, you know, in terms of electronics. Are we not ripe for e-voting?
No, of course we are ripe for it, because I believe that ultimately that is what can stop us, and that is what can guarantee free and fair elections in Nigeria. You know, we have reached that point that we must be able to stop people from rigging. How does India do it? Because India is a giant when it comes to democracy, given a size. And if they do an election today, by tomorrow everyone knows who has won. They won't be waiting for someone to come and read, and then you are waiting for an agent to come and... It's electronic voting will put an end to all of that. All those people carrying halogen and reading directly from some papers that probably was given to them.
Concocted.
You know, we don't need those people. Electronic voting will help us to simplify the process and ensure the fidelity of our election. But we don't want to go there yet.
Also save man hours. You don't need to queue up. You don't shut down anybody.
We are a very wasteful country. I swear. We can do all of those. Leave me, it's my choice. Leave me, you just listen to what I want to say. It's my choice. Listen, I'm passionate about this matter. It pains me that elections get rigged so easily in my country. I'm telling you that we are very wasteful. We can do all of those elections in one day.
We can.
We can do all of those elections. Look at how we are wasting money. Look at the money that INEC takes to run elections. So let's go electronic. How do they do it in Botswana that nobody can rig election? How do they do it in South Africa that nobody rigs election?
A counter logic would be population.
No. South Africa, no, it's not population. Okay, is India not more populous than us? Is Indonesia not more popular than us? What are we talking about? Is America not far more popular than us? America is even bigger than the whole of West Africa in size.
Yeah.
So if we are talking about, there is a big challenge. There is a big challenge to go around our country. How about a country like America that is bigger than West Africa?
A continent. Mobola de Abeg, in the build-up, Kogi and Bayelsa, the atmosphere is frenzied.
Oh, yes.
So you are having those two elections one day. Is that not quite a handful, more than a handful?
I don't see that even as any excuse. In any case, Kogi and Bayelsa were supposed to be part of the entire country.
Yeah.
So if you could even now desegregate it, I mean, by evolution of the electoral process, certain problems came up and all that. That should make it easier for the electoral umpire and the security agents to handle. So I don't think that should be a problem. The problem is the whole chain. There's a problem with that chain. From the point of view of the primary, you see people who start the rigging. From the point of view of the primaries, you see Kogi. They were holding a primary election, and you saw what happened. Even in Kogi State, you saw at a point there was shooting. Then it was disrupted. Then you came back to count as you wanted to count. It's a major problem all through.
Man-made.
Man, it's deliberate. Oh, because the stakes are too high.
Yes.
You want to get it with the Senate.
I must win.
You want to win.
But you remember that one of us here said, I'm not going to mention his name. He said even then they vote money for buying hard drugs, guns, and so on for guys who go make them.
For as long
and you
no, for as long as
fought
you
to believe it. You fought very hard to believe it.
No, why? For as long as you employ the services of thugs, you have to vote for such things. You must vote for thugs, for guns, and you must vote for drugs.
And the uniform of their private armies.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the problem.
So, Kogi. Let's say Kogi.
What do you want?
The builder. No. Forget say now your former state, but I'm saying it's almost here next weekend. So
Yes.
we are going to Kogi State.
Yeah, it's a very,
The build-up.
you see, the build-up has been really, really terrible. The politicians are at each other's throats. The violence has been mutual. It's not a case of, oh, it's APC,
No.
resorting to violence. Both of them are destroying each other's vehicles. Lives have been lost on both sides. So that should tell you how high the stakes are. The governorship election, and the fact that two regular customers, Dino Melaye and Smart Adeyemi, are also sparring. They are contesting on the same day. Makes it all the more difficult. Somebody said, why should they do it the same day? But INEC said it will only spend 10 million.
It's cheaper.
Now. But if they had done it separately, that it will have spent 300 million on the senatorial election.
And that will be
so I don't blame
rationalized.
them. I don't blame, no, because once INEC demobilizes, it is difficult to mobilize again. It will cost money and all that. Two crucial elections on the same day, and the stakes are high. So,
Mobalade, you take us to Bayelsa, a neighbor of River State, supposed to be, the so-called epicenter of gangsterism at elections.
Well, not only at elections, gangsterism generally, cultism everywhere, political actors fueling things. People should be leaders, are the people that subvert the society, that they are the people who mortgage the future of the people. And this is the opportunity, because that's the only means of recruitment. Once you win on that day, then you have control of the entire thing. And so you want to be in charge. You want to be in charge of the cultists. You want to be in charge of the treasury. You want to be of everything there.
Yeah.
And that is a major one. So
all right.
That has been causing all the...
Again, let the debate go on. Both Bayelsa and Kogi will go to the polls next weekend. If it is prayers, pray for them. But apologies to our late Professor Chinua Achebe. There is a country. All right, we have our next story. Please stay tuned. All right, let's keep it going. Each time there's an impending election in our country, I'm reminded with a keen sense of trepidation by the words of the late Russian dictator, Joseph Stalin. I tried to get it correctly. He said, those who cast the ballot decide nothing, but those who count the votes decide almost everything. The November 16 Kogi State governorship polls is upon us with its trappings. The electoral umpire, the INEC, had precluded the Social Democratic Party's Natasha Akpoti from running for office of governor in that state. Now the Federal High Court in Abuja on Thursday ordered the same INEC to restore the SDP logo on the ballot paper. Justice Folashade Ogunbanjo-Giwa insists that the umpire has no powers to disqualify any candidate for any election without a court order. Now let's hear the candidate. Watch this.
At a time when the country and many of its citizens have lost hope in the judiciary, we have just found the light in the darkness. And we just give glory and honor to God, and a lot of thanks to Justice Giwa for finding strength and courage to give the right pronouncement. And I say congratulations to all Kogites and Nigerians at large, that indeed Kogi stands in the forthcoming election to bring forth the new hope. I promise you all that I am not going to disappoint, even though we have just a few more days to election. From today, the movement to liberate our nation and our country and Kogi State starts today.
Today's victory belongs to the Nigerian people. It belongs to the Nigerian nation. And we do hope that others will learn a lesson from this in the judiciary. The democratic process is being consolidated. There is no new need for things that will change what has been provided for in our constitution. The rule of law must continue to govern this country. That is the only way we can develop. And that is the only way there will be peace and justice. Justice is the first condition of humanity.
After watching that, Jide, I look at Mrs. Akpoti. Is it Lugard House now?
Yes.
Calling the shots. What do I mean? Voting in the first female governor in this country in a free election. I know the campaign for her, I beg.
Well, we would like to see that happen.
Yeah.
One day. Not just in Kogi,
across the country.
In any part of the country, let a woman be elected. I believe that women, when we've given them the opportunity, most of them have done well. You know, so I do not subscribe to the idea that only men can do it. The women are coming. The women are doing well across the world. We can see the German Chancellor, Merkel, who came from the old East Germany. She has done very well, you know, in terms of repositioning the economy of that country. And even the defense minister, a woman. So increasingly we are seeing women take up leadership. And I believe that there's really nothing wrong about that, because some African countries are actually appointing more women as ministers than even men. So that is the thing.
Gender sensitiveness and
women
politics
should be encouraged to take active part in politics, not simply
in other words,
if
your wife is politically more active than you are, so be it.
Yeah, there should be no problem about that. That's the way I feel, and no one should try to stop them from attaining their goals. That's what, especially in a manner that suggests impunity, that's what the court affirmed. INEC has no right to disqualify any candidate. It is the parties, the rival parties, that can go to court to say, look, this person presented invalid certificate, this person is not qualified, I want the court to make a pronouncement, you know, that affirms that. And that is the thing, not the INEC on its own. And you can imagine the shame. The substitution, the offer to substitute came 45 days to election. You still refused to allow them to substitute. So what are you doing? Why should INEC be behaving like that? That's the point, because you cannot explain why they made efforts to substitute 45 days to the election, and you come up to say no, that they cannot substitute.
Mobalade, not because it wants to be so meddlesome. Let's go there. The courts and the process in civilized societies and jurisdictions, you hardly hear the courts coming in as the arbiter, even though that's its job. In our environment, you must rely on the court at some point. Meaning we can't regulate ourselves.
I agree with you, because in all this, while I agree with what Jide has said about the powers of INEC, INEC must know its limits. All institutions of state derive their power from the ground norm. And once you go against it, then you are being
meddlesome.
You are operating illegally.
Abusing process.
I agree absolutely. But at the same time, what does it show of our political parties also? The Constitution is also clear as to the age of those who are qualified to contest. Why will you put forward within the party and up to the time it gets to INEC that a 34-year-old is the running mate of the governorship candidate? Why the Constitution is clear on that too? I'm not saying that the INEC now has the power to do that. Yeah. But why did you do that? Why did it take you so long before you discovered that you needed to do something about it? That shows that you are sloppy. Or that is incompetence.
Or could be a result of promptings from somewhere?
Wherever it may be from. It is clear. I understand aloud. You. Yes, I agree with you. But you should be able to say, no, this is against the law.
You should be on top of your game.
You should be on top of your game. Yes. And then it goes to INEC, and INEC's argument is not whether it's 45 days or 30 days, but that there are timelines that are also dictated by the Constitution. In other words, the time where you must do your primary, the time where you must send in your candidates, the time where you must publish your particulars, the time where you can make substitutions based on valid grounds, and the times where you can no longer make substitution. But whatever it may be, it had been settled even by the courts that the Constitution says you lack the power to disqualify. Leave that to the courts.
Are we damned?
It's judicial.
Are we damned at this point?
I don't like putting things in absolute terms. We are not damned.
We are not damned.
No, we are not damned.
When will this shoddiness stop?
So I think we have moved a little further in a number of issues. I believe that we still have...
these things are meant to teach lessons.
Yes.
I'm sure that lessons have been...
The last Kogi election taught some lessons. There are certain things that INEC will not be able to do again. This one has come again. If they are coming up with any issue, but that's how you did with Akpoti case. That's what you did. Article time
people
also.
People will refer to the relevant section.
Exactly.
Section 31 of Section 1 and 3. And then Section 83 of the Electoral Act. It is clear and designed to ensure that INEC does not suddenly become arbitrary. And the INEC becomes a fair arbiter. Not that it will arrogate to itself powers that the Constitution has not given to it. So,
but again, aside from all this, not punishing bad behavior remains a recurring decimal here, and it's troublesome. It's troubling, rather.
Oh, it's been a major problem, even within political parties. Even simple things that are also in the Constitution, like their finances. They are supposed to file their financial returns after every election. It's supposed to be scrutinized. There's supposed to be a report that goes to the National Assembly and so on. We've not been hearing much of that. People do whatever they like. Interested.
You see, even this age limiting that we are talking about, some parties have actually gotten away with it.
Oh yes, they did.
And they are in
the last election.
In the last election, there are people younger than that fellow who are in government today. So if you see, you can see, oh, this guy was not even up to 30 and he managed to get into government, this and that, went through election, nothing happened. You then think that you too can try your luck.
Can smuggle your way through.
The truth is, if you were now told that no, that person was too young, you cannot do that, within the time that you can substitute, if you come forward with a substitute, INEC has no reason in the world to say no. Absolutely. You cannot. Look at the ridiculous argument of the INEC lawyer. It was that, oh, by themselves they sent in a letter on September 19 affirming that indeed their candidate, the deputy governorship candidate, was not qualified. That is not the issue. Yes, they admitted that he was not qualified, but they had the power to substitute. They have the option to substitute at that time.
And they did.
And they did, but you now said no. And you see all kinds of funny videos all over the place. Sometimes even these officials are reckless. Some of the statements made were recorded. They were saying, no, we have an order from above to not... no, it's terrible. It diminishes the value of our democracy, seeing these kind of things happening.
But this order from above, you are looking at that above in a manner of speaking and wondering if the state created the above thing?
The,
Or is the above, is the above board?
No, the above can only be defined by the person saying it. Is it above within INEC? Is it above within the political system? Unless we have access to him
No,
to
no, I'm
explain.
saying generally there seems to be an above somewhere.
No, someone must just give an explanation for what happened. They must give an excuse.
Somebody said on television, or "God from above," and do it. We've seen all these things. We've seen it before now.
Okay, so
next, I'll guard it up.
I'll guard it up.
So we can say authoritatively that Mrs. Akpoti is going to be on the ballot?
Yes.
Oh, she will have to be.
Unless that judgment is vacated.
Yes.
And I doubt if that can happen.
Okay, there's a caller, I'm told, and the gentleman is joining us from
Abuja, right?
Abuja, am I right? Okay, we have the organizing secretary of the SDP. We'll give you the name caption. So let's say, good evening. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Very well. How are you?
I'm fine too. Please identify yourself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, my name is Right Honorable Emeka Atuma.
Okay then. By definition, the organizing secretary?
The organizing secretary of Social Democratic Party, yes.
So what's your reaction to all of this?
Yes, yesterday's judgment was actually a victory to Nigerian democracy, an advancement of our jurisprudence. It's simply for us to understand, to really understand that INEC's simple job in this country is to be a neutral empire in conducting elections.
Yeah. Okay.
And also an umpire, yes, to conduct elections, and they are also to be guided by the precepts of law. That's true. Many a times I've heard the officials of INEC mention that they are working within the constitutional provision. And then that seemed to be slightly acting under falsehood, because all the provisions of constitutions and the powers given to National Assembly is also to make laws that will guide the INEC in conducting of election, favorable election in the country. Okay. And if you go by the precepts of law, you will know that there is no place found that INEC had the power to have acted the way they acted upon Natasha's nomination and that of the SDP.
Yeah, okay. Do you see this pronouncement standing?
Did I see what?
The pronouncement by the court standing in respect of
Mrs. Of course. Why would it? I mean, all the pronouncement made on the 7 grounds by the judge was actually made according to the law. So everything, judgments and the court decisions come from the provisions of law. And the nations are not governed by politics, so to speak. Nations are governed by law. And if that be the case, the judgment will stand in its entirety.
Okay, then. On a last note, do you consider it difficult for political parties to play by the rules so as to avoid things like this? Are you there?
I'm listening to you, yes. I heard what you said.
Yeah. Is it difficult for, in this case, the SDP to have avoided this pitfall?
In human existence, there is no such thing as perfection. If being by the rules to avoid such a thing means that we are thinking that everything in life will be under perfection, which is not true. But in considering that, the laws of the country also considered where such things happen and what should be the actions of INEC. You know, the laws given to them. If you read the section 38 of Electoral Act, it is clearly there where it said that if you declare a nomination invalid, that even if the nomination period is foreclosed, that INEC has the duty of reopening it and admitting a valid nomination, or even extend the date of election. It's on section 38 of Electoral Act. I'm speaking by the provision. It's not a contemplation. So if that be also, if you go to section 178 of the Constitution, the Constitution also provided when a seat of governorship or president is going on, and there is a nomination of a second or the third party that is said to be invalid, that such nomination should be included in order for the election to be competitive election.
Yeah, okay.
So INEC cannot unilaterally say that our nomination is invalid because the deputy governor was underage. You may also recall that the section INEC quoted, which is section 177 of the Constitution, there are criterions there, which also include school certificate. In this country, a candidate has conducted wherein he didn't even submit a school certificate, and INEC did not declare such a nomination invalid. The person also moved the trail and won the election and also sworn in.
Okay, Barrister
and the
Atuma
person is still holding an office in this country.
Barrister Atuma, I must stop you here, but you've made your point. We thank you very kindly. Barrister Emeka Atuma, by definition, the organizing secretary of the SDP. Mobolade, it's a learning process, you just said so.
Yes.
But we're staying too long in the classroom.
I agree with you, but it's also deliberate that we are staying too long in the classroom.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. The politicians want to test the resolve of the system. They want to test how far they could push aside the Constitution. Generally speaking, and that's what they do.
They want to push the frontiers of
exactly.
unity.
From the primary elections, they will nominate the worst of them to do something backed by a strong man.
So most of these things are willful.
Oh yes, most of them are.
All right, then let's move on. I hope we become graduated and go to the next level, as they say. You know, in the war against corruption in our jurisdiction, you win some, and then of course you lose some. But for once, the narrative is a salutary one for the Commission and its boss, Ibrahim Magu. The Special African Anti-Corruption Crusader Award is in the offing. The Nigerian representative of the AU-ECOSOCC, Tunji John Ashaolu, has hinted that Ibrahim Magu would on Tuesday be honored in recognition of his efforts to fight graft in our country. The event is built for the Sheraton Hotels and Towers in Abuja. This is a likely sequel to Mr. President's 2018 honor as the anti-corruption champion in Africa. It's not all a bad tale.
Yes, I think the EFCC chairman has done exceedingly well.
I think so.
No doubt about it. He's brought some uncommon energy into the war against corruption. And those who in the past didn't feel threatened, who felt they could simply enjoy their loot after robbing us of our Commonwealth, they have now found no hiding place. They found no hiding place, and Magu is doing exactly what the president told him to do. The president has told him, look, I don't have any favorites. Anyone that you feel like going after, go after that person. He has the mandate of the president, and that's exactly what he's doing. You can see that lately, even the Yahoo boys, the EFCC is going after them with uncommon gusto. And those boys now have nowhere to hide. It's a lot more difficult for them to hibernate these days than before.
So when you hear that mothers of these boys have formed an association, again, that tells you the heat is on.
The heat is on, and no mother would want to see his child go to jail. You can see the day,
especially
Naira Marley, the apostle of SOP, that they are dance. The day that boy was brought to court, the mom was there and crying.
Yeah, because the mom, they chop.
Yes, now, from the boys, on the money that the boy makes,
the boy is good.
Chop. No one is saying that is guilty. No one is saying that Naira Marley is guilty. But the EFCC claims that it has a case
to answer.
Yes. So now others know that they have to be careful. There is no one that they cannot go after. Bukola Saraki just stepped out of the vortex of power he has another matter with the EFCC. He's battling now to have to retain control of his property, because the EFCC has gone to court to say no, this property should be forfeited to government. So Magu has consistently broken barriers. In fact, when you look at conviction figures, 2015, 103, 2016, 109, 2017, 190, 2018, 312. It keeps rising.
800 already this year.
890.
So deterrence is out of the question.
It's clear that...
Or it's either the deterrence is failing or that the EFCC is on top of its game.
The EFCC is on top of its game. Its duty is not simply to commit people to jail. Its duty is to also make corruption unpopular.
Yeah.
And you can see that even at every level, secondary school level, at tertiary education level, they are EFCC is setting up clubs whose duty is to preach to the people that look, corruption does not pay. You may benefit from corruption at this time, but ultimately you pay for it. So our children, even at primary school level, the EFCC has encouraged the formation of anti-corruption clubs, which will help to recalibrate the thinking of our people, because many people think that corruption pays. And we have to attack that mindset. Once we succeed in attacking that mindset, honestly, the work of the EFCC will be reduced.
Omobolade, you know, in spite of all this, there are still folks in this country who are not persuaded by what the EFCC is doing, and you can't blame them. Well,
there are a number of people. There are many categories. In the first instance, there are people who are political, and for that, partisanship will becloud them into seeing even what is very visible to all. There are people like that who can never see. They will say how many ministers have been convicted and all that, and those are the kind of things they want to look at. They have a right to their opinion, but there will always be such. And there are also people who are Puritans, who want to go into all the details.
In fact, after listening to you for a while, you are wondering what the reaction of such people would be when the head of service was nailed.
And it was...
And she is serving...
Yeah,
exactly.
Magu and his team conducted an investigation. At the end of the investigation, he submitted the report to the president, indicating that they had a strong case against the head of service. You know, amounting to about 1 billion. You know, money laundering and all that, amounting to about 1 billion. And the president had no choice but to take the decision to let her go. You know,
Obono Obla. Supposedly the president's attorney.
It's ICPC. You know?
No. We are talking corruption.
Talking of corruption.
So let's relate it. You know, I mean, I brought Obono Obla in because
that's why I said partisanship. When you are partisan, you will overlook a number of things that anybody who is a little more rational and independent-minded will be able to pick out, as you are doing now. So I'm not surprised about such things, but we need to be able to applaud Mr. Magu for the way he has prosecuted the battle, the war, so far. He has done well in the past 4 years, despite the fact that he was distracted along the line. Despite the fact that he wanted... the
hostile National Assembly.
Yes, they made all efforts to stop him, but he was unstoppable. And even given being a person who grew out of the Nigeria police force that many Nigerians don't have too much respect for, you are bound to say, no, this young man...
No, he is. It's like the inaugural chairman of the EFCC. You know, he was led by example.
They belong to the same generation.
Exactly.
They were the first set of people, you know, that Ribadu worked with. Incorruptible, stubborn, difficult, you know. So
to sway.
Yes, and the president must have had all kinds of stories, because this guy is an expert at investigating people, you know. So the president just felt, look, amongst the guys who worked with Ribadu, this guy was the star, because the big investigations, including even the investigation of Saraki at that time, he was the one who handled those big investigations. So the president felt, look, this is the person
Remember
to give this
the
job
case
to.
of Umude, Mobalani, and so on.
Yes.
It was Mago, and but I think that was in the time of Lamorde.
Yes.
Yeah.
The president must have felt, well, this is the person to give the job to. He may not be a fantastic dresser. He may not be an excellent speaker. But the war that we want to win, we are not concerned about elocution.
No, elocution will not
elocution,
win.
it's not a
weapon.
just get the job done.
Yeah.
The most important thing that God has given him is that incorruptible nature and the fact that you cannot sway him. So you cannot leverage on your relationship with the president and go to Mago and say, no, please, don't do this. No, he has shown that he's focused and he has brought uncommon energy to that fight. Everyone can feel that energy.
You see the passion.
The passion that he brings to his job.
Yakub is here. He's in Lagos. Yakub, I greet you. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Welcome.
Mr. Rajidi and Mr. Manager, good evening as well.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. I give kudos to the team in the studio because of the way you people analyze the situation on ground. But I will say that I'm looking a day whereby Mr. President will send the name of Magu to National Assembly to be confirmed as a substantive chairman of EFCC. Because apart from new Ribadi, this very particular gentleman called Magu has really done very, very well. Yes. Because he's the only president that can hold on to all these big fish, quote and unquote, in our society that all of us are looking at they are untouchable. At the end of the day, we know that they are just very, very flat like a piece of paper. Now that if they, but another thing concerning me, Babajide, is that why is it that all these big fish, whatever they catch them and taking them to court, you find them on which here. They will not sit when they are taking all this one. But when they get to the court, they will say they are sick.
I saw Mena.
I'm just as confused as you are.
Thank you, Yakub.
I'm just as confused as you are because the other day too I saw Mena on
I was wondering if it was a film.
Actually, yesterday they were holding this anti-corruption summit or something, where you had the Minister of Information. And one of the points made by Professor Owasoye, I think one of them also, it was first by Magu, and then Owasoye also reacted to it. That many people, you have doctors who are also giving fake medical reports.
Yes.
That as we are here now, you can procure a medical report, and that quite a number of them are coming to this cell because they have been going after them, and they will come, they will not deny, they will start begging. They said, look, the law does not hear the English of begging. Don't do it. Once you do it, you're going for it. That is the law.
We wish Magu well. It must keep doing what it took to get started. So
we need support. That's what
I also need
from the everyday Nigeria needs
chairman forever too.
Yes, because by the 9th of November. That's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow is 9th.
By 9th of November, it will be exactly 4 years, and he cannot continue as acting chairman. The president must then take a decision. I want this guy to continue. He's done an excellent job. Let us support him, because if the president doesn't move quickly, I won't be surprised if some cabal somewhere come up with a funny idea that, look, this person is not the only person who can do it. Because, look, there are many people who do not like him. Within the presidency, everywhere.
Naturally.
If you do your job diligently without looking into people's faces, you won't have friends. They will hate you.
In your village,
so the president,
in your village, if you are seen to be upright, straightforward, how them go like you?
They no go like you. What people do not know, even in your place of work, where will they work? Some people will just hate us for nothing.
For nothing.
But what they do not realize is that you cannot compete against grace. I'm not a pastor, but I know you can't compete against grace. Once
God is
chooses,
not mocked.
once God chooses to elevate you,
You can quote the Bible too.
yes.
No, I do.
Oh, you know, he's a catechist. Once God decides to elevate you,
Yeah.
whatever people do, they are just wasting their time.
Oh, yeah.
And if they do not change, when they continue to seek your downfall, one day the pit that they dug for you, they'll be covered up in it.
You become the hammer.
I mean,
All right, quickly.
it's just the Bible.
Austin has joined us from Benin. Austin, good evening. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening, my brother.
I
Good
greet
evening,
you.
Jones.
Yes, sir.
My special greetings to Tito Jo and his colleague there.
Thank you.
Thank God, this is my first time at least of connecting, so I'm happy.
Okay.
I just want to join the first caller, Yakubu, to, as a citizen, call on Mr. President to forward the name of Mark, if it is possible. Though I've listened to my brother Tito Jo, that because he has served, he may not be eligible.
No,
But
he
if it
didn't
is
say
possible
so.
for the president to bend over backward
he
and
didn't
send
say
his
so.
name.
No.
Like
didn't
he
say
said, he has
What
to
I'm saying is that he has to move quickly.
actually prosecute this fight to its logical conclusion.
Yeah.
Then to the battle in Kogi, in addition to that, I would want
You want to take us to Kogi?
these medical doctors who procure phony medical reports against these persons, these big fishes who have stolen us blind. They should be
And
sanctioned.
deaf. And dumb. Austin, thank you.
Yeah,
Austin, thank
God
you.
bless you.
God pass them, Austin.
Go past them. You know, but again, let me quote for the second time this evening, Professor Chinua Achebe, bless him. We have a country. There is a country.
Yes, I believe so.
There is a country.
believe so.
We can
There's
rest.
hope.
Yeah. So
I agree, there's hope.
people should
There's a
cease
book,
telling.
There was a country.
I know,
Yeah,
I know
you know,
what he said.
yeah. So, but you know,
Chinua Achebe.
people should stop telling me about Rwanda is wonderful. But the president there is a dictator. He's stepping on toes because his eyes are on the ball.
Achieving is,
His eyes are on the ball.
As a matter
look
of
at
fact,
Ghanaian leaders went there the other day and they came back with interesting stories. To say,
Lee Kuan Yew was
yeah.
a dictator.
Oh, dictator! Come on, come
He
on.
was.
I beg. I'm not saying the president should be a dictator, but
No,
we
but
can
you
get
mu-
it.
you must be ready to step on toes.
He must step on toes, including those with saw
Yeah.
on them.
Let him even bruise people's toes.
Ew.
If it's possible.
Or
Let him
noses.
bruise their toes.
All right, folks, we must pack it all in. It's going to be a long weekend. Monday is a holiday.
I missed,
Oh,
I
you
missed
don't
the
know.
hangout with you last Friday because
Yeah, you thought you were going to pick the
my
bills.
my
that's
big
why.
brother, Kaode Kamolafe, was visiting.
Okay.
And you know now that I cannot afford not to do it.
So make
but
we
today,
do-
I'm sure it's not coming today.
Okay.
So that
I'm
place
on call.
on your bill.
All right. Okay. I agree. He is Babajide Kolade Otitoju, and of course, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Am I right?
Yes, no,
Yeah.
yes.
And you are Omo Mobolade Omonijo.
God bless
Sorry, my Yoruba is
I
fractured.
appreciate that. You speak Yoruba better than I
Emma
speak
Bonio.
Ibibio. So.
Yes, somebody who
understand
can use Yoruba
I
proverbs
know.
more than me.
Wọ́n ní orúkì mú láyé ká lọ gbatẹ́gùn lọ́rùn. Something like that.
No, you see now.
We must go. We must. Yeah, after. All right, then. That's it for the evening. Take care of yourself, but please, you may see the program also on other platforms we'll show on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel is the same. On behalf of the backroom boys here, can't wait for the holiday. We say Baraka to Salah, Baraka to all our Muslim viewers and so on. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.